It's the 20th of March 2012. This is Capital FM Online TV News. In the headlines, Orengo defends PM's criticism of the judiciary over poll ruling. CIC urges Kenyans to respect IEBC judiciary on poll date. Protests in Nairobi over impending visit by British minister. And Remuneration Commission sets guidelines for salaries. Good evening, I'm Victoria Rubadiri. Cabinet Minister James Orengo has defended Prime Minister Raila Odinga over remarks he made calling a High Court ruling on the election date as one made by a kangaroo court. Raila's statement was in reference to a decision by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to have polls in March 4th next year in their interpretation of a decision made by the High Court. Orengo says the Prime Minister was within his rights to express his opinion over the court ruling. Chief Justice Willie Mutunga described the PM's conduct as unacceptable since he is a critical and fundamental arm of the executive. Speaking at the opening of a stakeholders forum on land reforms, Orengo said the CJ had blown Raila's remarks out of proportion. He said the Chief Justice should have used legal means to deal with the issue. The IEBC announced a March election date, drawing heated debate across the country. The Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution has in the meantime thrown its weight behind the March 4th general election date as set by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Chairman Charles Nyachae says the Electoral Commission was within the law to announce the date of the polls following a ruling by the High Court in January. He affirmed that the IEBC needed not to consult any individual in reaching its decision as the Constitution was supreme. He reiterated, though, that the date is not final as the IEBC could review it following events that could precipitate an earlier election like a constitutional amendment by Parliament. Nyachae said there will be no crisis if the President stays in power until after the elections are conducted, as it is provided by the Constitution. Following raging debate over the IEBC announcement, CIC has urged Kenyans and all other institutions to respect the IEBC decision.
It is the unequivocal view of CIC that IEBC, in terms of the judgment of the Constitutional Court, is the organ constitutionally mandated to set the election date.
Protesters have held a demonstration in Nairobi in what they have termed as interference on Kenya internal affairs by the British government. The group, calling itself Vijana Tuko Pamoja, carried banners castigating the UK government, which is accused of authoring an alleged dossier calling for the indictment of President Kibaki by the ICC. Led by its chairman, Geoffrey Muya, the group also burnt the UK flag outside the Foreign Affairs Ministry, where the petition was handed. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission has formulated rules to guide the negotiation in the earnings of public officers. Speaking during a briefing session with Parliament's Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee, Chairperson Sarah Serem says the guidelines will address disparities that exist among civil servants. A stakeholders workshop is planned at the end of this month to approve the regulations. Former MP Olo Aringo, who represents the National Assembly on the Commission, called for legislating the regulations to prioritize their enforcement.
These regulations, which we now use as guidelines, must be approved by the House. And therefore, if you can expedite the regulations, it will make our work much easier because it will provide for that interface between us and the stakeholders and to enable us, therefore, to implement some of the requirements that you want us to do.
And that does it for our top stories of the day. Thank you for joining us. I'm Victoria Rubadiri.